Hello agents and welcome back for another briefing session. Today you will learn everything you need to know about base building, from the pre-requirements and the restriction to gathering resources, the materials, the crafting and the building. Now before we deep dive into the important stages of building a base, let's quickly talk about the pre-requirements and the conditions. You can only build one base per player and per server, and that base can only be built away from the safe zones, the POIs, the roads and all the other players' bases. I believe the minimum distance is about 200 meters. Once built, your base will remain on the server for 7 days before disappearing. Now, to avoid that, all you have to do is to log in at least once within those 7 days to reset the clock. Now, let's deep dive into the different stages of base building, starting with the tools. Now, there are 3 tools that you will need in Deadside to build a base. First, the axe for gathering. You will need it to cut wood and get wood logs. You can also use it to kill other players, and it will most likely happen when one of your team members tries to help you build the base and gets a little bit too close to you, but the main purpose is to gather wood logs. 2. The saw for crafting most of your core materials with the wood logs that you got using the axe. And then 3. The hammer for crafting your base modules with the materials you're crafting using the saw. Now you can find all those tools in the world, but you can also buy them at a trader. Note that the axe actually takes a weapon slot, while the saw and the hammer will fit in your inventory. Next, let's talk about the resources. Now there are 3 types of resources for base building in Deadside. Those you can loot, those you can gather, and those you have to craft. Some of those that you can craft can sometimes be found in the world, and some of that you can find cannot be crafted at all. Now, to give you an example, you can find planks, but you can also craft them if you have wood logs that you gathered using the axe. Bowlines and metal cannot be crafted or salvaged, so you have to find them to craft towers and sandbags. Wood is by far what you will always need the most, since it will let you craft all the materials you will need to make the different base modules. Now, to collect wood, equip the axe, get close to a tree, and do a left mouse click. Now make sure you have space in your inventory, and if you're close enough, you will see the wood log icon appearing above the shortcut bar, and you can stack up to 4 wood logs per inventory slot. Also note that you cannot gather wood in the safe zone. You've got to be outside of a safe zone for this to work. Once you think you have enough wood logs, you can start crafting materials. Materials like the planks, the beams, the plywood are essential to build the base modules. And there is just one, however, that you cannot craft: the nails. Nails will also be needed for crafting pretty much everything and anything, and you can find them, but you can also buy them, and you will need a lot. So the first few materials that you should actually craft are the one that you will need to build your first and most important base module, the land claim. So collect enough wood logs, get enough nails, and craft enough materials to get your very first land claim. A land claim allows you to reserve a very small part of the Deadside world for you to build your base. Once you have crafted your land claim, it will appear in your inventory. To use it, right-click on the icon and click on Use. Remember, you need to be at least 200 meters away from safe zones, POIs, roads and other players' bases. Once you've reached a place that you like and that you think it's great for base building, the land claim sign will turn from red to green. Press F to place the land claim and you're done. Next thing is to actually build your base. Now, before we get into base building, you should know that bases are composed of 3 parts. 1. the main base modules, the scaffolds, the walls with doors and windows, the stairs, and so on. 2. The defenses, fences, main gates, sandbags, and towers. And then 3. The storage boxes, each with different limitations. So for example, you can only have up to 3 storage boxes at your base, 20 defensive modules, but a lot more for your main base buildings. So, you put your land claim, congrats, what's next? Well, first you will need scaffolds, tons of them. The big scaffold is usually what most people use to build their base. It comes in 4 different versions. The scaffold big, on which you can actually install walls with small doors and windows, and the scaffold with big opening, from 1 to all 4 sides, where you can actually install a wall with big gates. For instance, maybe you want to park a car inside your base in the future. That's the one you will need. So the base building system has a pretty powerful snap tool which will help a lot. If an item doesn't snap, make sure it is at the right height by pressing Shift and left or right click, and rotate the module as well. It should snap properly at some point. I would suggest you focus on the shape of your base first by putting all the scaffolds you will need and work on installing the walls and windows later. Try to be creative. Build a base that has an interesting shape and setup, something you're happy to go back to after raiding POIs. Also, make sure you use the right wall corners for your scaffold corners. There are 2 types, one with soft edges and one with hard edges. So pay attention to what you do, what you craft, build, and install. If you make a mistake, get close to a module, press G. For the floor and the ceiling, you can use the decks or deck corners for most of your scaffolds, unless you have installed stairs, in which case you will need to use the deck small to fill the gaps. Once you have installed all your scaffolds and modules, the walls, the windows, and everything you want and need, you can finally work on the defensive modules. Remember that you can only install up to 20 of those, so I would recommend you start with the fences. Build a nice fence gate and a few fences around your base, and this will increase the security of your base and help avoid getting sniped through a window at your base. Once done, see if there is still room for a few sandbags and towers. You're almost done. Now there is just one thing left to do: put the storage boxes. You can build up to 3 of those big storage boxes at your base, but you can also build the small crates as well to extend how much storage you can have there. Other players, your other squad or clan members, cannot build more of those big storage boxes, but you can still build the small one at your base. So that's a pretty good way to further extend how much storage you can have there, or just make it easier for your squad members to have a storage that is safe. A few other things to know about base and base building, especially a few things that are true as of May 2020 but may change in the future. Only you and your squad members can access your base. So if you are not the base owner, make sure you disconnect outside of the base, otherwise you might get stuck next time you reconnect and the base owner is not around. Only the base owner, so the person who put the land claim, can build the base. There is not some sort of co-building feature right now. So the best way for your squad and squad members, clan members to help you build the base is by gathering the resources and crafting the modules that you will put on the base later on. Avoid building stuff that collides with part of the world like rocks and trees and so on, since it might actually bug your base and the modules, and you might not be able to remove them should you want to migrate to a different place in the future. So just find a nice flat place and stay away from anything that could cause problems. Alright agents, so this is it for this briefing session on how to build a base in Deadside. I hope you found this useful, and if you still have questions about base building, please let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel to support the R.O.D.E Foundation. It really helps to make sure the video can be found by other survivors. Thanks again for watching, thanks for the support, and I will see you next time.